This time, I'd like to talk about the spotlight being placed on Bei Lihai, the son of the prominent Bei faction, who recently broke a 12-year silence with a political statement. First, let's revisit who Bei Lihai is. He was once a figure considered likely to become the top leader of the Chinese Communist Party, CCP, making his name very well known. In a sense, you could say he is a figure of the past, as he fell from grace during the Obama administration in the United States. This might lead some to think, who was Bei Lihai again? And that's where I'd like to start. Bei Lihai is the son of a CCP leader from the time when the Bei faction held sway over China's governance. To put it into perspective, the Bei faction once ranked above even Xi Jinping's father in the CCP hierarchy. Although they were expelled during the Cultural Revolution, they returned to the top ranks after Mao Zedong's death. As such, Bei Lihai himself was widely recognized as a promising figure, poised to rise to the pinnacle of the CCP. A small digression here: by that time, the CCP was already entrenched in factionalism. In Chinese politics, promotions aren't necessarily based on merit or moral standing. Instead, family connections have long held significant weight. When such a promising figure exists within a vast organization like the CCP, how do others perceive them? Publicly, they're often celebrated as future leaders, with constant praise and flattery. Naturally, this reinforces the individual's belief in their destined greatness. However, privately, many colleagues see them as obstacles. They think, if this person disappears, perhaps I'll have a shot at the top. But as long as they're around, my future is capped. This kind of hidden animosity likely surrounded Bei Lihai throughout his career. This dynamic, I believe, is deeply tied to the circumstances of Bei Lihai's downfall. His demise began in 2012, during the Obama administration in the U.S. and the same year Xi Jinping became General Secretary of the CCP. Back then, Xi Jinping was not yet the consolidated figure of authority we see today. The party elders thought Xi would be easy to control, and Xi's personal consolidation of power and cult of personality hadn't yet taken root. That same year, a shocking incident occurred. Wang Lijun, a public security chief from Chongqing, fled to the U.S. consulate. This marked the beginning of Bei Lihai's downfall. Wang's defection stemmed from a deeply troubling event. Bei Lihai's wife, Gu Kailai, had murdered a British businessman named Neil Haywood. Wang, who had investigated the case, reported to Bei Lihai that Gu was the perpetrator. Bei reportedly struck Wang in a fit of rage, which terrified Wang. Fearing for his life, Wang fled to the U.S. consulate, believing he knew too much to be left alive. This exposed Bei Lihai and Gu Kailai's crimes. While such actions might be quietly buried when involving Chinese nationals, Gu's killing of a foreign national made this an international issue that couldn't be easily suppressed. Bei likely wanted to pin the blame on someone else, but investigations revealed his wife's involvement. Once this became undeniable, Bei reportedly erupted in fury, perhaps recognizing the political fallout. Wang's defection turned the matter into a diplomatic incident between the U.S. and China. As a result, Gu was arrested and convicted of murder. She initially received a death sentence with a 2-year reprieve, later commuted to life imprisonment. Bei Lihai himself was accused of various abuses of power and corruption, leading to his removal and subsequent imprisonment. He is currently held at a special facility for high-ranking detainees known as luxury prisons. Meanwhile, Wang Lijun sought asylum in the U.S., but his request was denied by the American ambassador, and he was handed back to Chinese authorities. At the time, this decision to refuse Wang's asylum sparked criticism within the U.S. While it may seem surprising, the decision likely reflected a broader agreement between the Obama administration and the CCP. It's plausible the U.S. agreed to return Wang on the condition he wouldn't face the death penalty. These events underline the opaque and factionalized nature of CCP politics. Bei Lihai's fall from grace showcases how alliances and rivalries within such a system can quickly shift, as well as the lengths to which individuals will go to protect their positions. Moving to a tangential but important topic, let's discuss the ambassador involved in this incident. Interestingly, the U.S. ambassador to China at the time was Gary Locke, an American of Chinese descent. Locke's background as the first Chinese-American governor in U.S. history reflects the diversity of American politics, but it also invites us to think about Japan's future as immigration grows. Japan, unlike the U.S., lacks a history of integrating large numbers of immigrants into its political system. However, as more foreigners settle in Japan and become citizens, their descendants will inevitably gain voting rights and potentially enter politics. While some view this as a threat to traditional Japanese values, others see it as a natural progression in a globalized world. This shift raises important questions about how Japan will balance its cultural identity with an increasingly diverse population. In closing, Preserving one's national identity while engaging in a globalized world is crucial. Countries that assert their cultural and historical values earn respect internationally. Japan's unique traditions and values should not only be maintained but also celebrated as its people navigate these changes.